Now, red flags start coming when you hear people say, I don't think John will have anything to tell you. Or, John is dead. Red flag, red flag. Actually, this is a true story. We had a guy who said, yeah, you know, and I don't remember the guy's name, so we'll call him John for the sake of the discussion. You know, John never gave me any feedback. I have no idea what John would say. We said, well, what would he, what was in your review? No, we didn't have any reviews. Okay, well, how about informally, like informal reviews, just time with your manager? Oh, no, we never had that. But what about just like walking around? Walking around the office, what was John saying to you? Yeah, John never actually came out of his office. So then we're like, all right, we're going to get real creative. What do you think John was saying when he was in the office with the door closed, when he was talking about you? And this guy kind of sits back in his chair and he goes, it's funny you ask that, because I got so frustrated that I never knew what John's view was, that I snuck into his office one night and I planted a bug. Now in interviewing, right, you've got to control yourself, right? Your reaction is normally you're like, you did what? Part of you is thinking, I can't believe you did that. The other part of you is thinking, why are you telling me this? Don't you know we're in an interview situation here? But you got to stay calm, so you just have to smile and go, oh, what did he say about you? And on the conversation went. So they will always have something. You just never know if you keep pushing on it how far it's going to go. The final question in the top rating interview is, why did you leave? Why did you leave? And Jack Welch calls this the most important question you can ask in an interview if you read his book, Winning. And we love it too, because it's very transitional. You're hearing about what's going on in their mind. You hear things like, oh, there was a riff. A riff. Yeah, a reduction in force. And that's when you want to follow up. You want to get clear. Reduction in force. Okay, like a layoff, you mean? Yeah, like a layoff. Well, how many people were laid off that time frame? I guess there were 2 of us. You want to get real clear, like what's really going on. You want people that are getting pulled out. Former bosses are calling them out, right? They're getting recruited. That's all good. People that are getting pushed a lot, like every job, pushed out, bad, like major red flag. And whenever you hear something that's really big, you want to get detailed answers. Like you're going to hear stuff like this. I had a philosophical difference with my boss. Right? Yeah, you're laughing because you use that, right? I know. I've tried this too. I've had a philosophical, you feel so good, like I'm educated. I had a philosophical difference with my boss, right? Well, when you hear that, you want to get specific details. And we had this is a real story. We had a guy, try to pull this on us. He said, I had a philosophical difference with my boss. And this guy kind of pulls himself up when he's telling us this. We're like, oh, this is interesting. He's pulling himself up. There's something here. Let's dig a little bit. Well, what was the philosophical difference all about? He says, yeah, well, I was the VP of sales at the time, and it kind of came down to this board meeting. We're in the board meeting, and the board's giving my CEO a hard time because we had fallen short of our sales numbers, and we're like, well, how bad? What was the damage? He said, we're like 75% of our sales numbers, so it wasn't good. And my boss is kind of squirming and stuff like that. And well, anyway, he kind of broke down finally, and he looked at the board and he said, "We don't get our revenue numbers up. We're going to have to get a new VP of sales." And we're like, "Oh wow, he said that with you in the room." Like, "Oh yeah, he said that with me." We're like, "Wow, how did you respond to that?" And this is when he really pulls himself out and he goes, "You know what? Your mother had a whole lot of foresight when she named you Dick." Now, once again, you got to kind of control yourself, right? Did what? So you kind of play along, right? You feel egging on. Wow, you said that. Yeah, he didn't like that very much. He adjourned the meeting at that point. That's when we kind of all filed out. And Dick said, I didn't appreciate that comment back there. Pack your stuff, get on out of here. So now we kind of have him, right? We're like, all right, so you got fired, but this is just too unreal. Like, now we're just curious. We have a little extra time on our hands. Like, well, how did you respond to that, right? You just got fired, so what did you do next? And he says, you know what your problem is? Nobody's ever put you in your place. Ooh, wow, well, how did he respond? He said, who's going to put me in my place? Are you going to put me in my place? What did you do? He said, I hit him! Now we're really curious. Well, how'd you hit him? Was it like in the face? Like a guy, knee thrown? Like, what? Oh yeah, I just let him have it right across the face. He just bang! He's down on the ground. It was awesome, right? And we're thinking, wow, okay. You know, we're smiling. Oh, wow, this must be quite a moment for you. Like, so what? You know, what'd your family think of this? You know, we're just fighting for words. Yeah, my wife and I love to call it my $3 million slap. You see, I had options that had fully vested for $3 million that I lost because I was terminated with cause and escorted from the building by security. Wow, you know, philosophical difference with my boss. I struck my boss. So you always want to get detail, right? You just never know. And here's the thing, guys. 1 out of 20 people you interview using this method will forget that they're in an interview. In fact, all of them are going to forget that they're in an interview because it's very conversational in nature. They're telling you their story. But 1 out of 20 is going to tell you something that is absolutely crazy.